Gents, welcome back for part 2 of R31 IRS swap. Still working on my the video setup a little bit, so you got to bear with me. Still playing with the focus settings, trying some manual focus stuff, playing with the mic. Yeah, we'll see how we go. So just quickly, I'll do a bit of a recap of the last video. We just cut the mounts out of I've got like a spare R31 just to mock up the brackets in. That all went pretty smoothly. I've had a bit of a play with it since. The subframe will have to move forward. We'll have to do a little bit more cutting. So in this video I'm going to talk a bit about the process that I went through to actually figure out how to locate the subframe. So this is all theoretical, and I'm going to obviously have a look in the path of travel that the wheel follows, make sure we're online, make sure what I've worked out matches up with the real world. I managed to find these drawings. I couldn't find them for R31s. These chassis drawings are actually of a Infinity M30, so that's a F31 Leopard. They're from the US, and from what I can tell they are identical. So I've measured a few of these, the dimensions shown here, and they seem to match up perfectly with the 31 that I've got behind me here, so all good. This one here is obviously S14, or in the US 240SX. Again, same, got a datum, height off the datum for all these points along the chassis, and obviously measurements point to point. Also in this video I want to show installing these. For those who don't know, these are actually solid subframe bushings, so you obviously press them in either side. Yeah, obviously it stiffens things up a bit, but for what I'm trying to do, they're going to be perfect, because I'll be able to bolt them at one end, bolt the subframe down, and the other end should work itself out. So obviously I've got a full set of these, I don't know, $90 or something Australian. Also bought this bag of fasteners and stuff. What I plan to do is I'm going to make a jig. Pull these out. So they're going to be the actual studs that come out of the bottom of the car. So basically, guys, my plan is to make a jig. So on the back of the chassis here, we've got a couple of known points, and they're actually for mounting the fuel tank. So these are exactly the same distance this way, away from the front center line of the wheels. Obviously we know the wheelbase of the car, R31's 2615, S14's 2525. Again, we're going to be using all metric. So because we know the wheelbase, we can work out obviously where the rear center line, this datum in the X, Y, this axis, it starts at the front center line of the wheels. So this would be 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil, 4 mil. So because we know the wheelbase, we can actually figure out where the rear axle lies, and from that you can kind of infer how far in front of the rear mounting points for the subframe that the center line of the rear wheels works out to be. Because obviously if you've got, I'll just quickly draw this, rear mounting points for the subframe, front mounting points. So basically the wheel center line isn't exactly between these 2 points. It doesn't lie straight in the middle here. From memory I think it's slightly further to the rear. So obviously between these drawings and these drawings, you can therefore figure out, based on the datums between them, knowing how far the rear centerline of the wheels is, you can work out exactly where how far these 2 points or these 2 points need to be behind the front wheels. So based on that, what I plan to do is make a jig to locate these 2 mounting points from those 2 fuel tank bolts. Alright, lucky for me, if we draw the side of the car and then we draw the rails, imagine that's the chassis rail, this space in here is actually considered to be horizontal, which works so well for this. So the holes that we've got are actually right here, and they're to mount the fuel tank, and we've got a couple more back here. So there's obviously 2 holes, one on this side and one on the other side. The distance between here and the front for both of those holes is the same, so that's good. The distance from this datum line, again, if we're looking from the side upwards, so this way, is the same for both of them. So basically what I plan to do is make a jig that bolts onto here, and what we're looking for is the distance between here to here, and it's going to tell us exactly where we need to put the studs. So these bad boys, where they need to sit in order for the subframe to mount up and put that wheel smack bang in the middle of that arch. First thing I'm looking at doing is I'm going to use some 2mm sheet steel, and we're going to cut an extra long piece like this, and I've also got some 75mm by 40 C-channel, and that's what I'm actually going to, because eventually this will be a box section, but I'm actually going to reinforce sections of this where these studs go with the C-channel, just to give it a bit extra. I think the web, I think this is 3.8, so all up we're looking almost 6mm. That should be alright. And obviously have these studs coming through, make a bit more sense when it's on the car. So this should be fairly easy to mock up. So I'm actually gonna press the bushings in first, put these through too, tighten them up, and then we'll weld her up. So step 1. I did mention this project's been going on for a while. I've actually already pressed the bushings. There's plenty of YouTube videos about it. You basically burn out the core of the factory bushings, and then you get a hacksaw or reciprocating saw, whatever you want, and cut the shell out, and then you basically bash it out. So I did that years and years ago, so I've got a bare one here. I've got a factory one still intact that I'll show you as well, just for comparison. So I guess we'll get to pressing these in. Let's do it. My apologies, gents. Just had a quick look at the footage and realised that this bastard had an extension and a little tripod here. Had the mic facing more towards me, and there's lots of noise induced by this bastard, so hopefully I can get rid of it, otherwise sorry about that. Before we start pressing the bushes, I thought I might just show you the difference between this style of subframe. This one's out of a S14, as you can see. These are the toe arms, so you can imagine the wheels here. That's what's going to change. This is it's got a bit of adjustability in here, so that's obviously going to pull your wheels either towing in, towing out. So obviously there's one of those on both sides. See if we can get it to focus. This one's got a couple of arms on it. So that's the one that I plan on using in my car. This one here still has the factory bushings in it. Now this one's from an R33. This one here is actually where I got my diff from, all my arms. I bought the other one bare, I bought this one dressed, but obviously I didn't want it to have, it's a bit hard to see, but this one doesn't have allocation for tow arms. So this is where, I'll just grab it. This here, it's actually electrically powered steering rack. So the idea was, that's where I bolted up. The idea was you turn into a corner, I think the rear wheels turned the same as the front, but only up to a few degrees. Common modification, obviously ditch the rack. You can get aftermarket brackets for this style to use, because this is solid as, to use tow arms off this style. I just want something a little bit cleaner, so going back over to this one. I'll get a bit of better angle. Same thing from a different angle. So obviously that's the tow arm there, and I've got the 33 one sitting on top. It's just no allocation. Other than that, there's not really too much different between them. Geometry wise, they should be identical. If we just have a look down here, the 33 on top actually has this interesting thing here. I'm guessing it has something to do with vibration dampening. Not on the S14. Interesting. Now, because of the awkward shape, I think I might try and press them in with a bolt. See how we go. Obviously that one's the top, that one's the bottom. Just a quick shot of the subframe with the bushes all installed. Fairly straightforward. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to create another rail from here to here, and those two studs are going to sit on that rail. So earlier I was talking about our datum points. These are the tank mount bolts that I was talking about. So one here, I don't know if that's in frame yet, and one over here. So I think I worked it out, I can't remember exactly, but it's about 250 mil that the mounts have to be, and obviously they're a bit narrower or a bit wider, I can't remember, than these ones here, but you'll see that after. So just to cut this first piece, we want to make it a bit longer than the outer distance from here to here, because we can always chop it later. And obviously I want it to wrap over the rails, so go from this end, we'll make it 800. The actual measurement's about 790-ish, so about 800. Here's the material we'll be using. It's just 2mm steel. This will form the actual box section. It will be reinforced with some C-channel obviously. So I'll just cut this up now. Okay, what happened there is I tried this markup pen. It's not made for this. It didn't really work too well. Let's do the old-fashioned way. Alright, this is what we got. I'm going to consult the chassis drawings, and we're going to find exactly how far apart these studs need to come out of here. So let's just mock this up. Something like that. Let's have a look. Don't know if that'll focus or not. You can see these back ones here, just here. The K, the letter K. Come back over here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but K, distance between centers is 855. So I've just spun the camera around. We'll see if what the drawing says matches up with what these actually are. $620. What? Okay. Don't know if you can see that, but that says 855. And then we go over here. K is definitely the right bolts. You can see here, K, K, obviously they're both the same coordinates, X. So center line, X is that way. So they're saying 308. Makes a bit more sense. So we'll make it 616. Let's have another look. $6.16. That's in. Alright, hopefully the rain's not too loud. We're looking for the centre of this one. Alright, there's the centre, 308 that way, 308 that way. I actually made this one 79. So what it will do is it will actually sit on top of the C channel parts, and another piece of this will sit against it. You'll see. This one here is designed to hold annular cutters. I think it's called a Weldon shank. Is it 20mm bit? Sorry about the weather. We're going to drill holes in both the plate that I just punched and the C channel as well. That was a bit dumb. This one's supposed to go in first. I'll show you why after. Alright, well, I had to look up the cutting speed for these ones. This one is a tungsten carbide tipped annular cutter. They need to be run a little bit faster than just a high-speed steel one. This one had a pretty wide range, so I think it was down, it's like 600 through to, I think it was 1600 or something like that. Just got the drill press set at just under 800 at the moment. A lot of that run out disappears once the pin finds the, there we go, finds the punch mark. That's the little slug that it leaves you with. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Pretty neat. Number 2. As you can see here, it's a pretty tight fit. The shank of the bolts 19.53, So this one we asked for 20. We got. Let's see if I can see so you can see. Fucking how's about that? Moment of truth. Beautiful. Alright. Can you use some of this stuff? Um, 75mm across, 40mm up the side. So I'm going to use 2 small pieces of this, and that's just going to be reinforcing where the bolts attach to the rest of the box section. Alright, so the plan here is take off, I don't know, that much ish, and that goes on like that. It's pretty much what it looks like. Like this. This flange on this side may need to come off. I don't know. Just depends where it ends up. So I'm going to screw this to the subframe and weld it in place. Alright guys, this is the setup I've come up with. I've basically just bolted everything together straight to the subframe so I can get the offset right. Everything's looking like it lines up properly. Just use this old spirit level just to keep that a piece of 2mm nice and straight. If you look down it's perfect. This is unfortunately it's in gauge. So the thicker stuff that we got is pretty close to 10 gauge, and the thinner stuff is actually 14 gauge. So I need to try the 10 gauge settings. We're using 75 argon, 25 CO2, and we're using 30 thou wire, so 7J. Easy. Alright, so that's what I came up with. Get a bit close up. Roughly where it sits on the car. Now ideally I want to get this edge here as close to the rail as I can get it. So what I'll end up doing is probably taking just a notch out of this flange and the same on the other side, so we can just drop this down. That'll probably have to come off both sides. So I'll just make it flush with the bottom there. there it is in place, giving it a bit of wiggle room, because obviously once I make up this jig it's going to show us how far forward and backwards it needs to be, and obviously in this plane as well. So now I'll work on making up the jig.